This is a video about the language of death. Um, there's all kinds of very interesting language that you start hearing when you're on this side of the fence as a person with metastatic cancer, um, particularly if your trajectory is not going to be very, particularly long term necessarily. And so I want to talk about some of those because it sounds really strange when you're that person and you start hearing people referring to you about in those ways. And it doesn't mean that any of those, that I'm being the word police, or wow, you shouldn't have said that, or gee, you're wrong. You're just talking, people who aren't in that situation, they're just talking from that side of the fence. But from my side of the fence, I guess everyone has different beliefs, and those beliefs affect sort of what kind of terms, language makes sense to them. Somebody said, I won't be long for this world. She won't be long for this world. And I think that we live in this thing of, everything's black or white. It's all in or it's all out, or it's all this or it's all that. Will I not be long for this world? Well, my body won't be long for this world. But, as ashes, I'll be sprinkled around in nature. So I guess my body in this particular form will not be long for this world. And what about she will not be long for this world? What does it mean? She is her body, and therefore when her body is gone, she will not be long for this world. Because is that what I am? I am my body. So I don't believe in sky fairies. I don't believe I'm going to ascend from the body and go up and play harps on a cloud or rest in the arms of sky fairy Jesus or any other sky fairy. I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe necessarily I'm going to some other world. My body will die, and with it all of the capacity to run my brain and all of its little connections and little loops and things that give me experiences, thoughts and feelings will also go lights out. But does that mean she will not be long for this world? No, because I will be in this world for a long, long time. My books have been read by around 40-50 million people. My artwork has gone all around the world. I've sold over 300 originals and lots of prints and art cards. My art is everywhere. It's on book covers and it's used in corporate, and my music has gone into a TV series that went all throughout Asia. My music is still out there selling. It's heard by lots of people. It's been bought by lots of people. It creates earworms in their head. It's in their hearts. My poetry is out there. How many books I've written are out there. And still there's waiting lists in libraries for people to borrow some of these books. So she won't be long for this world. I've left a huge legacy, as well as in 20 years as an autism consultant and having lectured around the world, in countries all around the world for 20 years. Lots and lots of audiences, audiences as big as 4,000 people, and commonly anywhere from sort of 50 to 200, sometimes 400 people an audience. So she won't be long for this world. I will be for this world for a long time, and certainly the people and the close friends and my beautiful husband Chris and my cats. The garden that I propagated the majority of what's in it. I'm invested in this. I will be here in this. She will be long for this world. Don't worry. I will be passing on. Pass it on. I will be passing on. Really? Okay, so my body will be passing on into ashes, and it will be getting passed on into nature, and it will come up as some weeds, and I'm happy to be weeds. Weeds are resilient. I was resilient. I could be passing on into a tree. I could make little flowers. My ashes could feed little flowers or feed butterflies and bees and birds. It's beautiful. So I could be passing on in that way. Passing on. Well, my thoughts and feelings and emotions and experiences will be passing on. They have passed on. They've been getting passed on and on and on and on my whole life in the world that I've invested in, and all the people and animals and nature that I've also invested in, and all the creativity and creative things that I have produced, sometimes out of dust, that I have passed on into. But she will be passing on. Passing on what? I won't be passing on my cancer. It's not contagious. Passing on. Passing on assumes I'm going to some other world. This assumes somehow that when I no longer have a body and nothing to run my brain or my emotions or my experiences, that somehow I'm going to be able to generate them without organic matter to generate them with. So no, I don't imagine I'm passing on as well. I saw one. She is terminal. Terminal. That's very clinical. Terminal. Yes, I have an illness that is going to kill me, and it may not be a long road, and hopefully the road is not as short as it is for some people who only get a couple of weeks or months, before they have gone around the block. There's another one. I like that one. But terminal. Terminal means the end. This train will terminate at Belgrave Station. Terminate. It's like everyone else is going around the loop, and I am terminating. My train is terminating. I am terminal. What do I think of that? I am ending. That's what it means. You are ending. She is one for the ending. She has no future. She will be ending. And if you've said that terminal thing, please don't take offense. It's your world. Literally, it's going to be your world. And I'm going to be physically leaving this world and living on for a long time in this world, but I won't have conscious experience of it, and you will. So if you like the term terminal, that's okay. Enjoy. So terminal. Do I think I'm ending? I don't think I'm ending at all. My physical existence will, as we know it, will be ending. My ability to consciously experience myself communicating, creating, living in the body, these will be ending. These are terminal, but I'm not actually ending. I believe that when we die, when we leave the body, when our body dies, because it's not really the person, or in some ways it is, it's their ability to have conscious experience of themselves. It's their ability to make new experiences in themselves and out of themselves. But I don't believe that I'm necessarily ending. I think that when the person has left the body, there's an incredible nostalgia that is left behind, and everything that you've ever left behind becomes, in a way, more sacred, sometimes more magical, and people take it into their own world, and they communicate with you in their own world, and they dream about you, and when they do, these things can be really precious, because they don't take it for granted that they can easily see you, in the physical world. So in that sense, it is very, very far removed from the idea that you are coming to an end. Going to the other side. The other side of the fence. I'm already on the other side of the fence. These are the people who don't have, if you like, a terminal illness. on that side of the fence, and these are the people who do going to the other side. So I've already gone to the other side. I'm looking and hearing and experiencing the life of people who have uh, a potentially longer future. Yeah, I'm hearing that is very unusual. So I've already gone to the other side of the fence, and that other side of the fence is kind of like a waiting room, and the bus is going around the block, and I'll get on that bus, and then I will be out of the body. To use some metaphors there, a bit of framing. So gone to the other side. The other side of the world? No. The other side. Where do people go when their body has died? Where does their mind and emotions and experiences go when their body can no longer generate those thoughts and those feelings and cause the conscious awareness of that experience, the reflection on their own existence? Where do they go? Where do they go? Do they zip their spirit complete, zips out the body and goes somewhere? It does go somewhere. It continues on in the minds and the hearts and the lives and the dreams of all the people who have ever been touched by you. So if that's the other side, then I've already been on the other side, and I have had people I've lost in my life, or just even people who've gone to work who are physically absent, or who are sleeping, and or who are away overseas or something, and I will have a deep yearning, and I'll have thoughts about them, and I'll have dreams about them, and so am I hearing from the other side, or am I hearing from my own world and from my unconscious mind? Am I projecting that outside of me and sometimes even seeing it as a ghost, or some other kind of supernatural experience? Because our brains are pretty funky. They're very trippy, and when we really miss people, or we believe in something, or we really want to see evidence or something, we do amazing things. Our brains are like a chemistry soup, and so I don't believe although I've experienced ghosts, and in German, ghost comes from Geist, which is essentially the personhood of that person, but I don't believe that that these are out there. I believe that they're generated in my own world. Yeah. So, I don't necessarily think I'm going to the other side. The other side of the universe would be interesting, but I don't think so. I'm really not that significant in among all these gazillions of people who are currently mostly destroying the planet, and who have taken it away from nature and animals, conveniently because they felt they were superior. Whatever, I don't buy into that. But no, I don't believe I'm so fabulously important that I'm going to the other side of the universe either, even if it would be very interesting. Let me see, going to the other side. Does that mean, I could be going into heaven, I could be ascending to go and live with some sky daddy father figure in the sky or somewhere? I don't know where that's meant to exist. That's another side, but it's not a side that I believe in, mostly because I didn't have a need to believe in it, and I was not indoctrinated into that culture. I was not indoctrinated into that culture and that belief. And the world has many beliefs that we can get indoctrinated into. And maybe because I'm aughty, maybe because I was socially on the peripheries, maybe because I'm so busy putting one foot in front of the other, that I become very literal and very logical, and I really need to stay very grounded, that I did not become very indoctrinated. And this is not to say that it's a bad thing if you're one of those people who did. And it doesn't mean that doctrinated is necessarily a negative word. It's just me breaking it down as a linguist and saying I'm not a person who has become indoctrinated, and so therefore the other side, in the religious sense, doesn't make any sense to me. She will die. Die. That's a really interesting one too. She will die. Well, I'm not going to have a grave. I'm not going to have a coffin. I'm not going to be in a box where people can look at, oh, there's the body, she's gone. I'm not going to, arrive at the place in a hearse or any other such doodah. Because I think that reinforces this idea she is dead, meaning she is her body, and I can see that it is in a box, and I can see it as a corpse, and I can see that it, and therefore she, is dead. This steals from all the people I love the beauty and the sanctity and the immortality of knowing I live on, and them knowing that I live on in their worlds, in their life, for as long as they need me to and whenever they need me to, which I think is a really sacred thing. And so I don't believe, that because my body's died that she is dead. And yes, I stop having my own conscious experience of my life. But since when did that ever really matter tremendously to other people? I mean, every one of us, it's our own business what we consciously experience of our life or not. And as an autistic person, I spent my first sort of 9 or 10 years as a face blind, meaning deaf, meaning blind person with no simultaneous processing of self and other, as a person who was very in a dream world. I had very little capacity to reflect on my own existence, and I was really so happy simply being and utterly in the moment and living in that system of sensing, that simply being world, where this whole thing of, reflecting on her own existence, consciously aware of her, so in Christian world, that's apparently what places us humans above animals. Well, guess what? I felt I was an animal, and I was very happy to be that. My father would introduce me as, that's Polly, she's feral, and I was happy with that. And I think it's a real damn shame that I didn't in some ways stay there. I'm glad in other ways that I didn't. I'm glad I gained the capacity to understand language with meaning and move from my echolalic world into the one word, one meaning system that led to litanies and eventually the speech that you hear now. I'm glad I got enough of a simultaneous processing of self and other in order to begin to reflect on my impact on others, their impact on me. Enough processing that I could express and track my speech, hear another person and retrieve what I wanted to communicate. These things are all part of the capacity to experience yourself consciously and to reflect these things that we think are about, that whole thing of dead. But I still was very much alive before I could do any of those with any consistency. And therefore, when I stopped being able to do those, I am still, I didn't die. I continue to live on in all the people who will carry my spirit forward. But also, I don't think it's a huge deal for me to lose existence in the body when I spent such a large part of my life not identifying body with self, and learning to take pain seriously, learning to take hunger or thirst seriously, learning to pay attention to the whole toilet messages thing and go and answer them and do something about them. Giving a toss about keeping the body safe from danger. That took me forever to gain those things. So I'm glad I did. But I don't think that body as self thing is as strong for me as it is for people that's their history from early childhood. And I don't think the capacity to experience my own conscious awareness of myself is absolutely integral to feeling that that I'm here. Yeah, I feel that it's wrong, therefore, to say she's dying, because I am in some ways, and in other ways, no. And life is not always black and white. It has some greys. When you really think about it, it has some greys. Um, the idea that I'm going on to the next life, my next incarnation, I will come back as. What does that mean? I believe that I have already incarnated in all the people who were changed by encountering me, either directly or through the things that I created. Whether that's my words, my art, my music, my advice, whether it was directly, whether it was by proxy, whether it was third person. I have already incarnated in those people. And just as this idea of who I am, and this, I am not one fixed entity. I am the product of loads of different experiences, identifications, all the people I didn't identify with, all the experiences I did take on, and I did for good or bad, or the ones that I avoided, and the people I was close to, the people that I wasn't. These things all become part of this tapestry that might look like one person, one incarnation, but in fact, it's an incarnation that is dynamic and ongoing throughout the person's entire life, lived physical life. And I am not the same person I was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and therefore this idea of in your next life, because I've already lived many lifetimes in this life. I've journeyed, and just because some people, they sort of come out the box and they live this paint by numbers life, and then they die pretty much the same as when they came out the box. From the moment that they were no longer under the wing, wrapped in cotton wool, they found this paint by numbers existence, and then they died. And I can see that for people like that, the idea of, and in your next incarnation, but my life has been hugely dynamic, and I have seen it evolve the whole way. So the linguistics of death. I hope you found that interesting. So thanks for listening.